So, dear students, going towards the electrical activity of the heart, we have to study the rhythmical excitation of the heart. As we have already studied in cardiac cycle, that the total duration of a cardiac cycle is 0.83 seconds and the heart rate is 72 beats per minute. The heart has an intrinsic system of contracting, and the whole process starts from a self-excitatory node known as SA node. Now the SA node, when it fires or starts a cardiac impulse, it has a sequence of events, and these sequence of events leads to the electrical activity or the electrical conductive system of the heart. So as you can see in this diagram, that the sinus node located somewhere in the right atrium at the top is a small flap of tissue which is self-excitatory. As we will subsequently learn, that this self-excitatory SA node, it generates an impulse at its own. So it is known as the pacemaker of the heart. It starts delivering the cardiac impulse to the rest of the heart through a complex but very intricately synchronized series of events, and these events, they are very much synchronized. So the SA node, it starts delivering the cardiac impulse to the rest of the heart tissue with a gradual process, and it repeats again and again after every 0.83 seconds. After the SA node, the cardiac impulse, it travels through the internodal pathways to the AV bundle, and then the AV bundle divides into the left bundle branch and the right bundle branch, and finally there are Purkinje fibers within the three layers of the myocardium. The heart has three layers: the endocardium, the myocardium, and the pericardium or the epicardium. So the SA node, the action potential is self-generated. The cycle repeats after every 0.83 seconds. The initial phase is the resting membranes phase, and as you have already studied in the nerve muscle physiology, that the resting membrane potential of the nerve and muscle, that is usually near minus 90 millivolts, but the SA node is different. The resting membrane potential of the SA node is at minus 55 to minus 60 millivolts. As you can see here, the SA node has an action potential, has a resting membrane potential of around minus 60 millivolts. At this phase, you must remember from your discussion of nerve muscle that the fast sodium channels, they are already being inactivated. So there is no role of fast sodium channels left in the excitation of SA node. There will be the leaky sodium channels or the funny sodium channels, which are going to play their role in the uprising of the resting membrane potential from minus 55 to around minus 40 millivolt. This is due to the leakiness of the funny sodium channels. Funny because the scientists initially, they didn't know how they work, so they named them funny sodium channels, and now when they are named funny sodium channels, the name persists and it goes on and on. So as we are studying even today, they are known as sodium funny channels. The sodium funny channels, they have a relatively shallow uprising, not a very sharp uprising. They have a gradual uprising of the voltage from minus 60 to minus 40, and here the role of transient calcium channels, that also is present. So this is the funny channels, the F or the funny channels, and the T calcium channels or the transient calcium channels. They also lead to some of this movement of the resting membrane potential towards the threshold potential. As the threshold of minus 40 is reached, the L-type calcium channels open. So here at the phase 0, you can see the L-type calcium channel, or L for long. They are long acting calcium channels. So they act for the major portion of the action potential, and from minus 40 it goes to a depolarized stage of 0 or slightly positive. So phase 0, the L-type calcium channels, they open and they cause the influx of the calcium channels of the calcium ions, and the resting membrane potential goes from a negative stage to an action potential of a positive phase. As the action potential, it reaches its topmost level, its peak, the potassium ions, they start, the potassium channels, they open up and they start the efflux of the potassium ions. Now this is very important. In all the phases of action potential that you have studied so far, the potassium is responsible, the potassium efflux is responsible for the repolarization phase. So in phase 3, again the same, the old faithful potassium channels, they are having the job of taking the the electromagnetic potential back towards the negative phase, and this is known as the hyperpolarized phase, slightly below the resting phase. Minus 60 is the resting phase. So below the resting phase, the again these sodium channels, the funny sodium channels and the calcium channels, the slow calcium channels, they again open up. So this phase is by slow calcium and funny sodium channels, this phase is by fast calcium or L-type calcium channels, and this phase is by fast potassium or simply potassium efflux channels. Now you can compare this resting potential and the action potential of SA node with that of the ventricular muscle fiber. In the ventricular muscle, as you studied in the previous lecture, that the action potential was sharp rising, there was a slight notch after the action potential, then there was a plateau phase. After the plateau phase, there was a sharp depolarization back to minus 90 millivolts. Now this is the conductive system of the heart. Once the action potential is generated or the cardiac impulse is generated in the SA node, where what happens next? This is the SA node here. Now first the impulse will be transmitted within the right atrium and towards the left atrium with the help of atrial the internodal fibers. There are 3 branches of internodal fibers: the anterior internodal fiber, the middle internodal fiber and the posterior internodal fibers. And similarly, the SA node will transmit its impulse towards the left atrium with another bundle known as Bachmann's bundle. After transmitting the atria, the impulse will travel into the AV node. This AV node is located between the atria and the ventricles. So this AV node will be at the junction of the atria and the ventricles, as you can see here. This is known as atrioventricular node. As the name implies, this is between the atria and the ventricles, and there will be a specific function of this AV node that we will see later. Now from this AV node, a bundle of His arises which takes this impulse into the ventricles, and in the ventricular septum, in between the 2 ventricles, there is a septum known as interventricular septum. So in that interventricular septum, this divides into a left and right bundle branch. So the right bundle branch takes the impulse towards the right ventricle and the left bundle branch takes the impulse towards the left ventricle. Within the ventricle, there are 3 layers of muscle, as you already know: the endocardium, the myocardium and the epicardium. So the impulse travels from within to the outside with the help of these small fibers known as Purkinje fibers. So there is a delay when the impulse transmits from the SA node to the AV node. There is a delay, and it takes only 0.03 second for the impulse to travel from the SA node to the AV node. But from the AV node and towards the AV bundle, this is the AV bundle, there is a delay of about 0.12 seconds to 0.16 seconds. So as we have already studied, the SA node, it generates an impulse, and through the interatrial fibers, this transmits to the AV node. In the AV node, the action potentials pass through the AV node to the atrioventricular bundle, and from the atrioventricular bundle along the fibrous skeleton into the interventricular septum. So here you can see the AV node and AV bundle, it has an activity, it has a property of stopping the impulse for a while. There is a gap of 0.09 seconds within the AV node, and in the AV bundle, when it reaches the AV bundle, there is another gap of 0.04 second. So the total gap is about 0.15 second. The AV node, it particularly has a property of slow conduction. And why this slow conduction occurs? This is because of the diminished number of gap junctions, which offer a greater resistance to the conduction of excitatory ions. Now, what is the benefit of this slow conduction? This allows, this AV nodal delay of 0.12 second allows the atria to contract ahead of ventricles. It gives the ventricles enough time to get the pool of the blood from the atria before contracting. So there is enough time for the damming of blood or the collection of blood within the ventricles. It's not very much beneficial if the ventricles and the atria, they contract simultaneously. So the atria must contract ahead of the ventricles. So revising this, after the passage from the AV bundle, the impulse transmits or that is transmitted into the right and left bundle branches, and finally from the right and left bundle branches, it goes to the three layers, from the inside to the outside, from the endocardium to the epicardium, and this impulse goes from the apex towards the base of the ventricles. This is how it goes. And as you can see in this diagram, that from the SA node to AV node, it takes about 30 milliseconds or 0.03 seconds. Then from the AV node to AV bundle, another 0.09 second or 90 millisecond. Then to the Purkinje fiber, 0.04 seconds. From the Purkinje fiber to the ventricles, the inner side of the ventricles, it takes another 0.03 second or 30 milliseconds. And then from the interior side of the ventricle to the outer surface of the heart, another 0.03 seconds. So this is how the impulse is transmitted, and this is very well shown in this diagram, that SA node, it delivers the impulse to the AV node in 0.03 second, and at another 0.12 second delay is faced, or 0.13 second delay is faced within the AV node and the AV bundle, out of which the share of AV node is larger, it is 0.09 seconds. The sequence of events we have already discussed. Then it goes to the right bundle and the left bundle branch. The right bundle branch, it is transmitting at a faster rate, relatively faster rate. You can see that 0.1 second, 0.18 second, 0.19 second to the interior of the ventricle, and each subsequent part has a delay of 0.03 second. 0.17 second was here, 0.20 second to the outside, 0.18 second here, 0.21 to the outside, 0.19 here, 0.22 to the outside. So this part is the last part of the heart which is being depolarized. So the right ventricle, as it is relatively smaller than the left ventricle, it depolarizes a little earlier, 10 milliseconds earlier than the corresponding portion of the left ventricle. So this is how all this process goes. This is the start. The depolarization process starts from the SA node. The two atria, they are depolarized with the intra-atrial fibers, and then there is a delay in the AV node. Then AV node, it finally, after a delay of 0.13 second, it transmits the impulse to the right bundle branch and the left bundle branch. The two ventricles, they are depolarized, and this part of the left ventricle is the last to be depolarized. Now there are a few points to be discussed here. The SA node is the normal pacemaker of the heart, and it beats at a rhythm of 70 to 80 beats per minute. However, there are two other portions which can contract at their own. AV node at a rate of 40 to 60 beats per minute, and Purkinje fibers can fire at a rate of 15 to 40 per minute. Whenever the SA node fails to transmit impulse to the AV node, or it is not working properly, there is a sick sinus node, or there is some other problem in the SA node, the AV node may take its own beating rhythm, or there may be an ectopic focus or ectopic pacemaker somewhere else in the Purkinje system. So if the Purkinje system, they become the ectopic pacemaker or the abnormal pacemaker, the ectopic foci, they start beating, or they start hindering the normal impulse as well. Whenever the Purkinje fibers beat, they beat at a rate of 15 to 40 beats per minute. So this may cause problems like ventricular fibrillation that we will study later. At this stage, we have to see that these abnormal pacemakers or the ectopic foci, they cause the transmission of impulse to the right and left, and these green lines, they show the transmission of ectopic focus, ectopic impulse. So it's necessary that the rhythm is maintained by the SA node for normal functioning of the heart. As you have already seen in the previous chapter, that sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, they control the cardiac activity, and they can increase or decrease the cardiac activity. The two vagi, the right vagus nerve and the left vagus nerve, they have a direct influence on the nodes, on the two pacemaker nodes, the SA node and the AV node, whereas the sympathetic chain, it supplies most of the ventricular muscle mass. So what is the effect of autonomic stimulation on the heart? The stimulation of the parasympathetic nerve releases acetylcholine, which decreases the SA nodal conduction and the AV nodal conduction. This is due to the increased potassium ion efflux. As you see that potassium ion efflux causes hyperpolarization, and hyperpolarization, it causes increase in the resting membrane potential, means increased negativity of the resting membrane potential. So the resting membrane potential, it is hyperpolarized, it is difficult to stimulate. The slow transmission of the cardiac impulse into the ventricles, it causes another problem. Whenever the vagi, they are stimulated in a weak to moderate fashion, it slows the heart rate. The heart pumping, it decreases to half of the normal. The normal was 70 beats per minute, then it will be lower, like 35 beats per minute. If the vagi are strongly stimulated in strong parasympathetic stimulation, they can completely stop SA node or the AV node. Now what will happen? The impulse will not transmit from the SA node to the ventricles, and the ventricles may even go to standstill. They can stop beating for 5 to 20 seconds. Then an area in Purkinje fibers, it becomes the new pacemaker of the heart. Now the SA node is not transmitting because of the strong vagal stimulation. The ectopic pacemaker or the Purkinje fibers, they become the pacemaker of the ventricles, and the ventricles, they escape from the atrial rhythm. So this process is known as, this phenomena is known as ventricular escape. Now this is about the parasympathetic stimulation, whereas the sympathetic stimulation, it has four types of effects: chronotropic, inotropic, bedmotropic, and dromotropic. You have to understand these terms. As you can see here, that the SA node, it was supplied by the vagi, and the AV node also was supplied by the parasympathetics. Whereas the sympathetics, they have a direct effect of increasing the heart rate, increasing the contractility. Chrono is from time. So when the heart rate is increased, this is known as positive chronotropic effect. So we can see here that I can write here that there is a positive chronotropic effect. The same positive chronotropic effect is seen in the inotropy. Inotropy is the force of contraction. Chronotropy is the duration of contraction or the heart rate. Bedmotropy is also positive. Now what happens in the bedmotropic, that we have a positive bedmotropic, the excitability of the heart that increases. All of this is because of increased sodium and calcium transmission. The sodium influx and the calcium influx, it occurs, and it leads to easy stimulation of the heart. So chronotropy, increased heart rate; inotropy, increased cardiac contractility; bedmotropy, increased excitability of the heart; and dromotropy, increased AV nodal excitability and decreased delay. As we have seen that AV nodal delay is a major cause of the slow and synchronized conduction of the heart, activity of the cardiac impulse. So the AV nodal delay, that is also reduced. AV nodal delay, just to revise, it was because of the reduced size of the gap junction and the reduced cell size in the AV node. So this is all for this chapter number 10. Hope you enjoyed and hope you understood the lecture. Thank you very much.